Every once in a while, a fossil dig may come with surprises. Sometimes a fossil ends up being bigger than expected, sometimes more complete. But what happens when a fossil is both of these things and something completely different to what it was expected to be? Well, today on Tate Minis, we'll explore a fossil at the Tate Geological Museum that is exactly that. On this episode of Tate Minis, allow us to introduce you to Torosaurus latus, also known here as Nicole the Torosaurus. To start, let's talk about what Torosaurus is as a genus, because you may be looking at this and you may say to yourself, this looks like Triceratops, and you would not be alone in that thought. More on that later though. Torosaurus was a large ceratopsian dinosaur from the late Cretaceous of North America that has been found in many different places, ranging from Wyoming and Colorado to even Texas and Canada. Torosaurus, as you may have noticed, looks extremely similar to Triceratops, and they're both very closely related. To discuss some similarities and differences, here's Russell Hawley.
The most obvious difference between Torosaurus and Triceratops is the frill. In Triceratops, there's a short, solid frill of bone growing out of the back of its head. The bone is quite thick. Here's just a piece of it. In Torosaurus, the frill is longer and larger, and the bone is much thinner. And also, in Torosaurus, there are a pair of large holes in the bone. And as a matter of fact, this is one of them.
These holes in the back of the frill are actually very common in ceratopsian dinosaurs, and relatively few of them have frills with no holes at the back. This factor has caused some scientists to doubt if Torosaurus is even a unique genus in the first place, and if it might have just been an elderly Triceratops. This hypothesis has mostly fallen out of favor amongst paleontologists, due to certain factors such as finding fossils of young Torosaurus that are smaller than some Triceratops, along with various anatomical and geographical differences mentioned earlier.
Another less commonly known difference between the two genera is the nose horn. Specifically, a Triceratops has a longer nose horn and it's round in cross-section. The small nose horn that we see on Torosaurus is flattened from side to side, giving it a more spade-like shape.
Along with the biological differences, Torosaurus is considerably more rare than Triceratops, to the point where only a small handful of Torosaurus fossils have ever been found. Only about 15 skull fossils have been found in total, and only 3 or 4 have any amount of bones behind the skull. And among those 15 skulls, only 5 or 6 of them are as complete as Nicole is. Nicole was found on a Casper College geology field trip in 2013. The tip of the brow horn was found protruding from the ground. At this time, everyone had assumed that the horn was that of Triceratops. A Tate dig crew started excavating the fossil and found the skull disarticulated in a pile. Most of the skull was there, but none of it was connected to each other. Over a period of about 3 years, Tate volunteer Leanne Herring did nearly all of the preparatory work, until at long last the bones had been revealed, and of course, the differences came to light. Due to the rarity of these fossils, a specialized mount was made to allow each individual bone to be removed in any fashion, which allows researchers easy access to the material. Another design quirk involved the bones that were missing. To solve this issue, the Tate crew had the bones digitally scanned, then mirrored and 3D printed. This ensures the closest reconstruction of the opposite side, since animal skulls tend to be symmetrical. Once the skull had finally been prepared and mounted, the prep lab crew spotted a very surprising quirk in the individual.
One of the most interesting features on Nicole's skull is to be seen right here. That's a tooth mark. There's another tooth mark here, and then there's a groove connecting them right along there. Then there's a series of scratches running from this tooth mark to this notch at the edge of the frill right there. Now, these tooth marks are just the right size and shape to have been made by a Tyrannosaurus rex's tooth. And if you connect all of this battle damage, it makes a curve that's almost identical to the curve that you get if you connect the points of the teeth in a Tyrannosaurus rex's upper jaw. Now, the bone around the notch here has remodeled. This shows us that it was starting to heal at the time that Nicole died. So that's not the mark of a scavenger picking at her carcass after she died of natural causes. That's a battle wound. It shows us, first of all, that Tyrannosaurus was not a scavenger. They did attack live prey, and it also shows us that these objected very strongly to being eaten. And they were powerful enough and dangerous enough that at least some of the time they could fight off the attacking T-Rex and get away.
Nicole the Torosaurus is a remarkable fossil with a very rich history behind it, and it has quickly become a specimen that the Tate Geological Museum is very proud of. We hope you've enjoyed this mini look at Nicole the Torosaurus latest. For more information about our fossils and casts, be sure to scan the next code on your Tate Mini's guide sheet to lead you to our next video. See you next time on Tate Minis.